The scent of peonies is suffocating. I stand in the center of the glass cathedral, a breathtaking conservatory of iron and crystal tucked away in the misty hills of Oregon. This is it. This is the place where I'm supposed to start my life with Mark. I've spent 18 months planning every detail. The hand-painted floor tiles. The way the light hits the altar at exactly 4 p.m. The velvet ribbons that match the specific shade of a twilight sky. It's perfect. It's mine. Ilera, stop staring at the ceiling before you trip over your own feet. A sharp voice cuts through my daydream. I turn to see my sister, Sienna, leaning against a marble pillar. She's scrolling through her phone, looking bored, despite being my maid of honor. Sienna has always been the golden child, the one with the modeling contracts and the loud laugh that commands every room. I'm just taking it in, Sienna, I say softly. I never thought I'd actually get my dream wedding. Sienna looks up, her eyes scanning the intricate glasswork with a strange, hungry intensity. It is a nice venue, a bit much for a girl who usually wears oversized sweaters and hides in a library, don't you think? I flinch. That's her specialty, the backhanded compliment that feels like a paper cut. You don't realize you're bleeding until minutes later. Mark loves it, I counter, trying to keep my voice steady. He says it suits us. Mark says whatever keeps you from crying. Ilera. She laughs, finally putting her phone away. She walks over and adjusts my collar, her touch cold. But honestly, you did a good job. This place, it's a masterpiece. It would be a shame for it to go to waste on someone who doesn't know how to command a spotlight. I felt invisible in that moment, even though I was the one wearing the bride-to-be sash. It was a familiar feeling. In our family, I was the supporting character. Sienna was the star. Later that night, at the family dinner, my mother raised a glass. To Ilera, she said, though her eyes were on Sienna, who was busy flirting with the waiter, for finally finding someone willing to settle down with her. The table chuckled. Even Mark gave a weak, awkward smile. My heart sank. I looked at Mark, hoping for a wink, a hand squeeze, anything to show we were a team. He was looking at his plate. That was the moment I felt the first tremor in the foundation. I didn't know the earthquake was coming. I just knew that the air in the room felt thin, like I was being squeezed out of my own life. I'm so happy for you, Ilera, Sienna whispered in my ear as we left the restaurant. Truly, you've paved the way for something spectacular. I should have asked her what she meant. I should have seen the way she was clutching her phone, her thumb hovering over a contact I couldn't see. But I was too busy looking at my ring, dreaming of a glass cathedral that was about to shatter. 3 weeks before the wedding, the world ends. Not with a bang, but with a generic email notification. Subject: cancellation confirmation. Booking number 44092. I stare at the screen of my laptop. My breath hitches. I call the venue manager, my hands shaking so hard I almost drop the phone. There must be a mistake, I stammer. I'm Ilera Vance. I have the glass cathedral for the 20th. I'm so sorry, Miss Vance, the manager says, sounding genuinely pained. The booking was transferred this morning. The deposit was technically paid by a Vance family account, and the primary contact, Sienna Vance, authorized the change. I felt invisible. No, I felt erased. I drive to my parents' house, my tires screeching. I burst through the door to find Sienna sitting on the sofa, sipping tea with my mother. They look like they've just won the lottery. Why did you cancel my venue? I scream. My voice is raw. Sienna doesn't even flinch. She sets her teacup down with a delicate clink. Oh, Ilera, don't be so dramatic. I didn't cancel it. I just repurposed it. Repurposed it? I gasp. That's my wedding. My date. Well, my mother chimes in, not looking me in the eye. Sienna and Julian have decided to get back together, and they want to do it right this time. They need a big statement, a fresh start. Julian. Sienna's on again, off again ex-boyfriend. The wealthy, charismatic tech heir who had cheated on her 3 times. Yet she always went crawling back. But I've been planning this for 2 years. I shout, Mark and I. Mark, and you can get married in the backyard. Sienna snaps, her mask finally slipping. You're boring, Alara. You'll be just as married in a tent as you would be in a cathedral. But I have a brand. I have a reputation. I need that venue for the press. I look at my mother. You're letting her do this? You're letting her steal my wedding. My mother sighs, the sound of a woman who has already made her choice. She's in a delicate place, Alara. Julian is finally ready to commit. We have to support her. You've always been the stable one. You can handle a little disappointment. I trusted them. I actually believed that if I was the good daughter, I would be rewarded. Instead, I was being stripped bare so my sister could wear my skin. I turn to leave, but Sienna's voice stops me at the door. Oh, and Alara? Don't bother calling Mark to complain. He already knows. He's the one who gave me the login to the booking portal. He agreed it was for the best to keep the peace in the family. The room spins. My fiancé, my sister, my mother. That was the moment everything changed. I didn't cry. The tears froze in my ducts. I walked out of that house, not as the stable daughter, but as a stranger. I drive to Mark's apartment. I find him packing a bag. He won't look at me. She promised me a position at Julian's firm. Alara, he mutters. We need the money. We can just wait 6 months. I don't say a word. I take off my ring, drop it into his open suitcase, and walk out. He doesn't follow me. I spend the next 4 days in a dark hotel room. The curtains are drawn. The world outside continues to turn, but I am stuck in a vacuum. Every time I close my eyes, I see the glass cathedral. I see Sienna standing where I was supposed to stand. I see my mother weeping with joy for the right daughter. I felt invisible. I felt like a ghost haunting my own life. My phone is a graveyard of ignored texts. Sienna, don't be a brat. You're still invited to be a bridesmaid. Mom, stop being selfish, Alara. Think of the family name. Mark, can we talk? I still love you. I delete them all. I delete my social media. I delete the version of myself that says, it's okay, when it's clearly not. On the 5th day, I realize I haven't eaten. I go down to the hotel bar. It's mid-afternoon, and the place is nearly empty. I order a double whiskey and stare at the TV. Hard day. I turn to see a man sitting 3 stools down. He looks familiar, rugged, tired, with dark eyes that seem to hold a similar kind of wreckage. It's Leo. Leo was Julian's best friend. More importantly, he was the man Sienna had discarded like trash years ago when Julian first came into the picture. Leo had been the stable one back then. He had loved her, supported her, and she had cheated on him with Julian, the very man she was now stealing my venue to marry. Leo, I whisper. He looks at me, and a flash of recognition crosses his face. Alara, you look like you've seen a ghost. I am a ghost, I say, my voice cracking. We sit there for 4 hours. I tell him everything. The venue, the betrayal, Mark's spinelessness, my family's calculated cruelty. Leo listens. He doesn't offer platitudes. He doesn't tell me to forgive and move on. He just grips his glass until his knuckles turn white. She's doing it again, Leo says, his voice a low growl. She's steamrolling everyone to get what she wants. Julian doesn't even love her, Alara. He just wants the PR boost of a fairy tale wedding after his latest scandal. They deserve each other, I say bitterly. Maybe, Leo says, looking at me intently. But you don't deserve this. You spent 18 months building a dream. Why should she be the one to live it? What am I supposed to do? The contracts are moved. The family is on her side. Leo leans in closer. Sienna has a weakness. She's obsessed with the image of perfection, but she's sloppy with the details. She thinks she's already won, so she isn't looking behind her. I look at Leo. For the first time in days, the fog in my brain starts to clear. I see the anger in his eyes, but I also see an opportunity. They thought I wouldn't fight back. I whisper, "Are you ready to prove them wrong?" Leo asks. I take a long sip of my drink. The burn feels good. It feels like life. I don't just want to fight back, Leo. I want to take back what's mine. Leo and I become a silent, focused team. We meet in secret, away from the prying eyes of our social circles. We aren't just plotting. We're uncovering the rot beneath the fairy tale. If we're going to do this, Leo says, spreading a folder of documents on the table, we need to know exactly what we're dealing with. He's been doing his own digging. As Julian's former business partner, Leo still has access to certain shared files. He shows me a digital trail of messages between Sienna and Julian. They weren't getting back together for love. Julian's company was facing a massive fraud investigation. He needed a distraction, a high-profile romantic wedding to soften his image before the trial. And Sienna? She was broke. Her influencer lifestyle was a facade funded by credit cards she couldn't pay off. She wasn't stealing my wedding for romance. She was stealing it for a paycheck. She's using my dream as a tax write-off. I whisper, my blood boiling. It gets worse, Leo says. He pulls up a series of photos. It's Julian leaving a hotel with a woman who definitely isn't Sienna. The timestamp is from last night. He's already cheating on her. And she knows. She's helping him cover it up in exchange for a prenuptial allowance. I felt sick. My family was throwing me under the bus for a business transaction built on lies. But then I find the golden ticket. I'm looking through the venue's original contract, the one I signed. I notice a clause that Sienna, in her rush to repurpose the booking, must have overlooked. The Glass Cathedral has a legacy clause. Because I was the original petitioner and the one who secured the historic preservation grant for the event, the booking cannot be transferred to a third party without a 90-day cooling-off period unless the original bride remains part of the ceremony in a legal capacity. Sienna hadn't officially canceled my contract. She had amended it. On paper, I was still the primary. She had just swapped the names on the invitations. Leo, I say, a slow smile spreading across my face. She didn't steal the venue. She's just hosting a party on my tab. And according to the fine print, the person who signs the final marriage license at the venue must be the person listed on the original grant application. Me. So, if she tries to marry Julian, there. Leo starts. The marriage won't be legally recognized by the venue's charter. I finish. Unless I'm the one getting married. Leo looks at me. The air in the room changes. It's no longer just about revenge. It's about a spark that's been growing between us over the last 2 weeks, a shared understanding of what it's like to be the disposable ones. You need a groom, Leo says softly. I need someone who actually cares about the person, not the venue. I reply, someone who knows what it's like to be betrayed by the same people. Leo reaches out and takes my hand. I've spent years being the guy in the background. I'm tired of watching them win. Ilera. Then let's give them a wedding they'll never forget. I say, we have 10 days. 10 days to execute a plan that requires surgical precision. I start by playing the part. I send a text to the family group chat. Ilera, I've thought about it. I was being selfish. I want to help Sienna with the final touches. Can we meet at the venue for the rehearsal? The response is immediate. Sienna, finally, I knew you'd come around. Don't wear that gray sweater. It ruins the vibe. I smile. They think I've surrendered. They think I'm back in my place. Invisible, compliant, defeated. They have no idea that I'm the one holding the match. The week of the wedding is a blur of calculated moves. I act as Sienna's personal assistant. I run her errands. I fix her lace. I listen to her brag about how Julian is finally hers. I see Mark at the rehearsal. He looks miserable. He tries to pull me aside, his eyes pleading. Ilara, I made a mistake. This job at Julian's, it's not what I thought. Can we talk after the wedding? Of course, Mark, I say, giving him a sweet, empty smile. Everything will be clear after the wedding. I've already coordinated with the venue manager. She's a woman who values tradition and was horrified when she realized how Sienna had bullied me. When I showed her the legal loophole and my plan, she didn't just agree. She offered to help. The paperwork will be ready in the side office, she whispered to me. The moment the vows are exchanged, we'll move for the legal signing. Meanwhile, Leo is working the guest list. He's invited the very press Sienna is so desperate to impress, but he's given them a different tip. He's told them there's a massive corporate whistleblowing event happening at the Vance Julian wedding. The cameras will be there, but they won't be looking for romance. I spend my nights with Leo, finalizing the details. We aren't just planning a coup. We're falling in love. It's a quiet, grounded kind of love, the kind built on truth instead of vibes and branding. Are you sure about this? Leo asks me the night before. Once we do this, there's no going back to your family. They left me a long time ago. Leo, I say, looking at the vision board I'd made 2 years ago. I'm not losing a family. I'm losing a weight. I look at my dress. Not the bridesmaid dress Sienna picked out. A hideous, muddy beige design to make me blend into the stone walls. No, I have my original dress. The one I bought with my own money. The one that makes me look like a queen of glass and light. I've hidden it in the venue's bridal suite, behind a false panel in the closet. On the morning of the wedding, the glass cathedral is stunning. The sun is hitting the altar at exactly 4 p.m., just like I planned. The peonies are in full bloom. Sienna is in the dressing room, screaming at a makeup artist. My mother is fussing over the seating chart, ensuring Julian's wealthy relatives are front and center, while our poor cousins are tucked away. I walk through the rows of chairs. I feel like a ghost again, but this time it's because I'm a haunting. I'm the secret they haven't noticed yet. I find Leo in the gardens. He's wearing a tuxedo that makes him look like the leading man he always was. He hands me a small velvet box. For the real ceremony, he says. I open it. It's a ring, not a diamond, an emerald. It matches your eyes, he whispers. And it's new. No history. No lies. I kiss him, a brief, electric moment of yes. See you at the altar, I say. I head back inside. It's time. The music starts, a sweeping, dramatic orchestral piece Sienna chose because it sounded expensive. She begins her walk down the aisle. She looks beautiful, in a sharp, cold way. Julian stands at the front, checking his watch, looking like a man waiting for a flight. I stand at the back, hidden by the heavy oak doors. I'm not in beige. I'm in white. And I'm not alone. The ceremony is a farce. The officiant, a friend of Julian's who is clearly hungover, drones on about merging two powerful legacies. Sienna is beaming, playing to the cameras. My mother is dabbing her eyes with a silk handkerchief. Mark is standing off to the side, looking like he wants to vanish. If anyone here has cause why these two should not be wed, the officiant says, the standard line everyone expects to pass in silence. I do. The voice isn't mine. It's Leo's. He stands up from the front row. The room goes dead silent. Sienna's smile freezes. Julian's face turns a ghostly shade of gray. Leo, sit down. Sienna hisses, her voice carrying through the glass hall. What are you doing? I'm saving the press a lot of trouble, Leo says, stepping into the aisle. He holds up a tablet. Julian, should we talk about the offshore accounts you've been using to fund this fairy tale? Or Maybe the fact that this entire wedding is a fraudulent attempt to shield assets before your indictment. The press in the back, actually a group of investigative bloggers and a process server Leo hired, instantly lift their cameras. The flashes start popping like gunfire. "You're crazy." Julian shouts, his bravado crumbling. Security. Security is busy talking to the police outside about the illegal gambling ring you ran out of your last charity gala. Leo says calmly. Sienna is vibrating with rage. "You're ruining my day. Elara, tell him to stop." She looks toward the back of the room, searching for her stable sister to fix things. I push open the oak doors. I step into the light. My white dress catches the 4 p.m. sun, turning me into a pillar of radiance. The guests gasp. My mother drops her handkerchief. "I can't tell him to stop, Sienna," I say, my voice amplified by the cathedral's acoustics. "Because he's right, and because you're standing in my spot." I walk down the aisle. Every step feels like I'm reclaiming a piece of my soul. "This venue was booked under my name," I say, reaching the altar. I look at the officiant, and the contract states that this venue is only licensed for a wedding involving the original applicant. That's me. I look at Sienna. "You didn't just steal a building, Sienna. You tried to steal my life. But you forgot that I'm the one who built it. You're just a squatter." You bitch." Sienna screams, lunging at me. Leo steps between us. Mark tries to intervene, but I hold up a hand. "Mark, don't." I say. "You chose a side. Stay there." I turn to the crowd. "There will be a wedding today. Just not the one you expected. Julian, you're served." The process server steps forward and hands Julian a thick stack of legal papers. Julian looks at Sienna, looks at the cameras, and realizes the brand is dead. He turns and bolts out the side door, leaving Sienna standing alone at the altar. My mother runs up, her face twisted. "Elara, how could you do this to your sister? You've humiliated us." "No, Mom," I say, looking her dead in the eye. "You humiliated yourselves the moment you decided I was disposable. You wanted a show? Here it is." I look at Leo. He walks up to the altar and takes my hand. "Officiant," I say, "I believe we have a valid contract, a willing couple, and a room full of witnesses. Shall we begin?" The room is a chaos of whispers and camera shutters. Sienna is sobbing on the floor, her expensive dress stained with floor wax. My mother is trying to hide her face from the cameras, but I don't see them anymore. I only see Leo. We exchanged the vows we wrote together in that hotel bar. They aren't about legacies or brands. They're about being seen. They're about being home. When he kisses me, the glass walls seem to hum. For the first time in my life, I am the center of my own story. The aftermath is a slow-motion collapse for the Vance family. Julian's assets were frozen 3 days later. Sienna, who had signed several joint liability documents without reading them, found herself hounded by creditors. Her influencer career ended in a flurry of parody videos and canceled hashtags. My mother tried to call me, of course. She sent a long, rambling email about how families should stick together during hard times, and asking if Leo could help Julian with a loan. I didn't reply. I blocked the number. I'm sitting on the porch of a small, quiet house on the coast. No glass cathedrals here, just cedar wood and the sound of the Pacific. Leo comes out with 2 mugs of coffee. He sits beside me, pulling a blanket over both our laps. "Heard from them?" he asks. "Mark sent a message," I say, watching a seagull dive into the waves. "He lost the job. He's working at a car wash now. He asked if I'd ever consider revisiting what we had." Leo raises an eyebrow, and I told him I don't live in the past. I'm too busy enjoying the present. I think back to that girl in the library, the one who wore oversized sweaters and felt like a background character in her own life. I wish I could tell her it's okay to be loud. I wish I could tell her that being stable isn't a virtue if it means being a doormat. My sister stole my venue. She tried to steal my joy. But in doing so, she forced me to burn down the house I was trapped in. I look at the emerald on my finger. It's vibrant. It's real. The silence is the best part. No one is telling me I'm invisible. No one is telling me I'm too much or not enough. I am exactly who I am supposed to be. I realize now that the perfect illusion I was chasing wasn't the wedding. It was the family. I had to let the illusion shatter to see the truth. Sometimes losing your family is the price of finding yourself.